actually, I think musicians are very similar to athletes, and we've heard about athletes getting their careers cut short due to injuries. So I feel, in my position, I've seen a lot of my colleagues, a lot of musicians, who were stellar players who unfortunately had their careers cut short due to injuries. So do you think, because musicians are so devoted to their craft, that they may not realize that they are building up this sort of tension, exhaustion, fatigue? Like some people might just be saying like, "Oh, I think I'm fine," even though behind the scenes maybe they're like, "Oh, I have this, chronic shoulder pain that's not going away." Is this something that you typically see with other clients, that most of the time they don't realize that, well, going into therapy, they're like, how much of a difference can it actually make? And then afterwards, they're like, wow, you know, the progress that I've made from going in to coming out is tremendous. Is this something you see typically with other clients of yours?
Yeah, it is. It also depends on how well they follow through with their home exercise program, and how, yeah, and basically how committed they are to helping themselves too. Um, so basically, the sessions work well for OT and PT. A lot of times we start off with an evaluation, kind of look at all their body systems, measure their range of motion, to see if there's any deficits or weakness, and then we kind of do a treatment plan. Um, so in that treatment plan, we provide home exercise programs that they're supposed to complete on their own outside of therapy, because sometimes they only come to see us like one time a week.
Mm-hmm.
So on those other days when they're not with us, that's, I think, where they make the most difference and improvements. So it kind of, I think it depends on how well they are devoted to receiving the suggestions too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned, how a lot of times, like, you might not realize, how bad it's getting. And I do see that a lot with patients, like, waiting for, months or even like years before they seek help. And,
Yeah.
it's always better if you can address problems earlier. I think the recovery is a lot faster when people, come in kind of, right when they start noticing an issue. It does take longer to get better when you've had something that's really chronic and been building up for years. So, and I also, just have kind of noticed that stress is a big factor with pain too. So a lot of times maybe something that, has been kind of like low lying or low level, sort of an annoyance to you, during times of stress or times of, or increase, volume of playing or something that, then it'll kind of, get to that point where, that tipping point where, it really, interferes with your ability to, keep playing your, instrument or playing your sport. So, yeah, I think the recovery, yeah, it can be a lot faster if you address problems before it becomes so bad that you can't even do, the activity that you want to do anymore.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, what are some of these signs? Like, what does it actually mean to, the old school saying of listening to your body? Like, and for me, being in a profession with so much repetitive motion, and we're always taught when we're learning our instruments, when we're performing, that, oh, this is easy, no tension, you should be able to like play for hours at nonstop. But in some ways, how is being in a profession with such repetitive motion actually harming us over time?
Yeah, I looked up an article to see like how common it was, with professional musicians, experiencing kind of this, yeah, like overuse or like, because
Mhm.
I mean, with athletes, you see it a lot with sports like pitching, like pitching or swimming, where you do the same motion over and over and over again. But yeah, this article that I found, Koch et al., they said that they looked at a bunch of studies like over the years, and they found that anywhere from like 41 to 93% of professional instrumental musicians experience some sort of pain or injury within a year, and then within their lifetime career, like anywhere from 62 to 93%. So that's like more than half, of professional musicians who are probably going to experience pain at some point in their careers.
Mhm.
And actually the most common injury was to the neck and shoulders, but I'm sure it can affect, all different body parts, or, but yeah, I think that, listening to your body is really important. I think there's that pressure sometimes, feeling like the person next to you is, practicing more than you, or, training harder than you. But, I think it's important to realize that, overuse in itself can be really detrimental. So like doing things like cross training, doing activities that kind of counteracts the activity that you spend a lot of time doing. So, let's say you're always kind of in like sort of a hunched position, like for you, like playing like the bass, right? And then, doing something like yoga, or, where you're going to more extension and trying to, stretch those muscles that are, always being, kind of tighter or being used. Another thing is like scheduling your training. So like when you have like a big, performance coming up, you would, ramp up your training accordingly, but then maybe taking some downtime after, not completely stopping, but, just kind of training or changing the volume that you're playing or training can be really helpful, so that you're not at a constant, high level of playing all the time. And then you can kind of vary it depending on what you need to do.
And then I think pain is your body's way of telling you that it is working too hard. I would recommend musicians to really take that to heart. Like if you feel any sort of pain, then take a break. Really incorporate some stretching too. Like stretching is a big part of a routine for athletes, for musicians, for just anyone really. Like if you sit at your desk for a majority of the day, it's always good to get up and stretch. So stretching I think is pretty key in the whole listening to your body. If you feel any inclination that I've been in one position for too long, then change it up a little bit. And Marie said cross training is a great way to do that.